Hey guys, welcome back to Hype RC. Exciting day here at the shop. We have the newest release from Hobby Plus. This is the CR-18P EVO Pro. This is a comp style 18th scale crawler. It comes with an angled skid plate, big bore shocks, and a comp low center of gravity body. It looks super cool. So let's get over to the bench and see exactly what comes out of the box. We're going to sit it side by side with the FX118 and do a little comparison, and then we're going to take it out for a real nice crawl. Stick around and check it out. All right, guys, now that we got everything unwrapped and out of the box, let's take an up-close look at exactly what you get. So you do get a user's manual. Now, this is a fold-out style instead of a booklet. You do get a T-wrench, a USB-C style charger, and then the Hobbies Plus remote. Now, this is actually one of my favorite remotes. Very nice, fits in one hand, has all the features you're going to need: steering trim, steering rate, dual rates on both. You can switch both your servos, a bind button. Now, this does take 4 AAA batteries, so go ahead and have those on hand because they do not come with this rig. And then, of course, you get the EVO Pro itself. So let's go ahead and take an up-close look at the rig. All right, guys, this thing is absolutely killer looking in person. I am so glad to see somebody come up with a comp body for the 18th scale rock crawlers, and they knocked this one out of the park. Very nice looking. It does come with plenty of wheel and tire clearance for the 68mm tires, set up on a pair of 1.2 plastic bead locks. This thing is just super tough looking. The approach and departure angles on this are super tight. I mean, you could basically go straight up to 90 degrees and it looks like it might start to creep up it. So let's go ahead and take an up close look underneath the hood. All right, guys, now that we've got the body off of this, let's go ahead and take an up-close look underneath the hood, and we're going to start off with the electronics. So this is the brushed version. It comes with a 280 size can that is 58 turns. That is connected to a 2-speed transmission. This is your shifting servo. The ESC is mounted up in the rear of this vehicle, and it does come with a 2S 600 milliamp battery. Now, I am seeing a lot of similarities with the FX118, same steering links, suspension links, axles, portals on this, so there are a ton of upgrades that are going to be available for this vehicle. Now, this one does come with skid plates that the FX118 did not, and then this has the 5-degree forward angled low center of gravity comp chassis, and that just looks ultra smooth under there. That is going to help this thing crawl very, very well. It does have the same type of bumper mounts on the front and rear of the chassis if you decided to mount a bumper on this. I am not going to, because this is going to be a comp rig, but I am super excited to get this out. This does come with some heavy duty drive shafts on the bottom, but these are the exact same suspension links, and I kind of prefer these. They're very nice and smooth on the bottom, which ought to help you crawl over the top of rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and get a few batteries charged up for this, and we're going to get it out for a crawl. All right, guys, let's get a quick weight on our EVO Pro. So this is actually already sitting with a heavy 55% front bias. So we have 55% in the front with 45 in the rear, and then a 49 to 51 left to right. Now, this is actually a 360 milliamp battery and not a 600 milliamp battery. So I was wrong about that. But the reason I think they went with the smaller battery is to equal out the weight difference in the left to right to keep this thing as balanced as possible. All right, guys, let's do a quick side-by-side comparison with the FuriTech FuriWagon FX118 and the new Hobby Plus EVO Pro. So the first thing that you're going to notice is the major difference on these two rigs is that this is a comp-style body. And what that means is that it is pinched on the front and the rear for wheel and tire clearance, and then they shave the body down to get it to sit as low as possible to lower the center of gravity on this vehicle, as where this is more of a scale style body. The next thing that I notice is different is that the wheelbase is much wider on the EVO Pro, and I found out why. So this actually has longer axles that come out of the portals with like a 6 to 8 millimeter spacer on each side, which widens the width of this vehicle, which is going to help with stability, but it's going to make it a little bit harder to navigate between those comp cones. Let's take a look underneath the hood. So the major difference I'm seeing underneath the hood on these two rigs is that the FX118 does come with a brushless motor and all separate electronics, as where the EVO Pro comes with a brushed motor, the 2-speed transmission, and a 2-in-1 ESC. So those are the major differences that I see between these two, and I know what you guys are going to ask is, will this body fit on here? And it doesn't line up exactly with the body posts that are on here, but I think with a little bit of modification, you could probably get one of these to fit on there very easily. So I've got the batteries charged up. We're going to get this out for a run. I'm actually not going to run these two against each other because this one is heavily modified, and we're going to box stock run this thing first. So the batteries are charged up. Let's go ahead and get it out for a crawl. All right, guys, how did our CR-18P EVO Pro perform out there? It did absolutely amazing. This thing is a line killer box stock, and it did it on cold, damp, wet rock. So I am extremely impressed with how well this performs. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros and the cons with this rig. So the number one pro for this rig is absolutely the ground clearance on this thing. So the combination of the 5-degree angled chassis and skid with the 68mm tires on those portals gives this thing a huge amount of ground clearance, but with the electronics and the body sitting low, it keeps the center of gravity as low as possible. Next, let's talk about the 280 brushed motor. So this thing modulates very, very slow for a brushed motor. I mean, look at that, guys. That is super impressive. This thing is set up just right. And then when you kick in the 2-speed transmission, it's got plenty of wheel speed for get up and go. So I'm extremely impressed with that. Next, let's talk about the big bore oil-filled shocks. So I didn't do anything to these. I didn't change out the oil. I didn't adjust the location. I did nothing to them. I left them box stock, and it performed very, very well, which leaves room for us to be able to tune that suspension in and get it to perform even better. So I'm extremely impressed with that. Next, the 68mm tires on the 1.2 wheel combo is amazing for an RTR. You don't have to run out and change these immediately. I like the 1.2 wheels. It gives a smaller sidewall, which keeps it from having side roll on the tire. And then these tires are actually very, very grippy. Generally, you have to run out and change the wheel and tire combo immediately. This one, you don't. I like the way that those perform. The 2S 360 milliamp battery performed very, very well in this. I got plenty of run time. You know, I thought it was going to be maybe a little small, but no, it ran well, it performed well, and I believe it keeps that left to right balance. So let's go ahead and talk about the weight distribution. So that is impressive that they have this forward biased by 55% out of the box with the 45 to the rear, and basically a 50-50 left to right. So this rig is very well balanced right out of the box. I didn't have any problems with the servo. Plenty torque enough, plenty fast enough. The steering links and the suspension links performed very well, so no issues there. So the 45-degree steering angle also allowed me to have this thing, you know, moving on the rocks and being able to get over where I needed to be and hit lines that I cannot hit with my other rigs. So just all in all, I am extremely impressed with how well this thing ran box stock. But let's go ahead and talk about the cons now. So I do have 2 cons for this rig. I believe both of those can be addressed and fixed. The first one is this has, I'm going to call it a medium amount of axle roll. It's not a little and it's not a lot. It's somewhere kind of in the middle, and you can see it right there. But I believe they have a set of axles coming out that are going to, you know, completely take away that problem, and so that won't be an issue. And next, I did have some torque twists. So you can see on the incline board, we did hit 54 degrees. I was hoping for a little bit more than that, but it does have a little bit of torque twist where you're wanting to see that front left tire come up. You know, I noticed it out on the rocks as well. But again, with some brass, some suspension tuning, I believe we can completely eliminate that. And like I said, man, this thing is just a line killer. I am extremely impressed with it. So it is definitely worth your hard-earned money. I give this rig a 9 out of 10. I have a huge box of upgrades already for this thing. I cannot wait to get a brushless motor stuffed in this thing as well and get it to perform even better than it already does. So don't forget to support your local hobby shops. Bash, crawl, repeat. Hit that subscribe and like button for me and ring the bell so you can catch my next video. We'll see you next time.